Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, sorry for my tardiness. I actually, my computer installed the new version of Apple, and in doing so, it cleaned out all of my passwords. So fun, right? Which means whenever I log on to any of our platforms like Zoom, it prompts me for my logins and passwords, which is fine. But then it says, all right, well, we don't recognize this device. You better go into your email and get that code, which I do. And then it sends me to its default, which is meetings when I want webinar. So I actually sat here for like 10 seconds saying good morning to myself. But all that being said, to be 30 seconds tardy, I guess it's a credit to Rhino. Like we're that on it, right? But I could just share all the things that went wrong, and we're probably still more on time than everyone else. Okay, so that's enough, Anthony. Let's continue with what we're doing today. All right, so let's start from the top. RhinoBot, I got a chance to take a look at it yesterday. It's awesome. It does need an improvement to it, which is actually totally, okay, Frida, it's totally in my hands at the moment. So let me try to figure this out. So the bot's aesthetics, which is the emulator, is done. Its ability to prompt you or you to prompt it is there. Its ability to have the 822 questions as machine learning, in which case, if it believes with a level of confidence, which again, we had to code what confidence means, over 70%, it would give you that answer. Okay. If it has a level of confidence under 70%, it then goes to ChatGPT. Okay. Now, ChatGPT's first response, which has been the difficult part of the difficulty in this, is okay, I understand, I'm an AI bot, and blah, 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 blah. In which case, you don't want anyone knowing that. It's not that the AI bot is a secret, but if somebody says something in the middle of a conversation, so they're talking to the main bot, and then in the middle of the conversation, the second bot comes in and goes, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm an AI bot, and I'm going to use the persuasion techniques of this to go ahead and get you to buy RhinoBux. How can I help you? The person's like, really? You're telling me that you're looking to sell me? I'm really not interested. Bye. So we had to go ahead and code that the first response was a ghost message that actually was never going to be seen. Okay, we did that. Now the back end of it to go after the person makes a buy decision to then be sent over to the second Microsoft bot that does a checkout process is the holdup. That's like a whole nother level of stuff, which is fine. We're going to get to it. In lieu of that, what now I need to do is to go into our ChatGPT prompt and yeah, Frida, yeah. I need to go back into our ChatGPT prompt and edit it so that it can do that on its own. So if the person decides they want to be part of the checkout process, that our ChatGPT prompt will quickly switch up and say, okay, great. If you want to do that, here's the link for it, which means we're going to have a lot of links in there. I also want to make it so that the prompt knows that after a minute to check back in with the person. Hey, it's been a minute. Did you do it yet? Did you do it yet? Right? Like I want it to be a little annoying, not like overly annoying, but a little annoying. Because again, that moment in time, it's going to be impulsive. The person's like, okay, fine, I'll join, right? And there may be a moment in time where the person's like, all right, it's a bot. Like they're not looking at me. Like I'll get to this later. I want the bot to pop back in and be like, it's been a minute. Where are you at? Do you need help? I'm here. Let's do it. I don't see you. You didn't do it yet, right? And of course, I'm being a little silly, but not overly silly. Like I do want it to kind of nudge, which means I have to recreate the entire thing and do it today and actually do it in 2,500 words because the API that we're pulling only allows 4,000 words. And we have to allow at least 1,000 words for the conversation to go back and forth between you and the bot, the user and the bot. Our current prop is 3,500 words, so I have to add a whole bunch while taking away 1,000 words. You know, no pressure. So I'll be doing that in a little bit. Right now, I'm completing today's email that goes out at 11 a.m. for prompt engineering. Like I've shared with everyone, our Twitter program is actually quite strong. We have the automations that are being done. Any new follower, any new like, things go back and forth. In fact, we're starting to see big names like our stuff. Like, for instance, there's a guy, Dan Ives, and he's a really big tech investor. He's always on CNBC. He's like a notable person. Hey, Renee, happy Saturday. Um, and we liked one of his tweets. And again, when we like something, it's not that we just like it. Our AI then goes to their last tweet and takes their last tweet and creates a challenge out of it, and then creates a solution out of what we're offering, but at the same time, identifying and acknowledging where that person is, complimenting them, and then doing this at the end. And then putting a picture. So the individual actually liked it back, which is cool, because if the individual liked it, it's like, okay, people that are in the know are starting to kind of sort of know who you are. And it allows us that we'll randomly go on Twitter and be like, okay, cool, let's just start liking some stuff. And not like egregiously, right? Like you have to like things from notable accounts. It has to be somewhat similar. Like if the Pope writes, hey, listen, we want all Catholics to not eat meat today, and we like it, and we're like, yeah, guess what? Meat is really bad, and rhinos eat grass, and you should join RHINOBux. The Pope may not really appreciate that much, right? And the followers may not appreciate it, because now you're taking something as important as religion and turning it into a platform to self-promote. Thanks, Deb. That wouldn't be a good thing. Which, by the way, I was with my aunt the other day, and we were just having funny conversation. And when you're married with children, it's a lot of trials and tribulations. And I made a funny little joke to her. I was like, I understand Jesus is, he's Jesus. But do you think if he had a wife and kids, he'd be able to do what he did? And she laughed a little bit, and I'm not going to go into it because I'm not going to disrespect the religious aspect of it. But when you take a look at people like Jesus or Mother Teresa or Muhammad or Buddha, all these like really, really big names, it's like they didn't have a wife and kids. They got to spend all day saying the world is their children and giving stuff away. Have a wife and kids and see how creating something goes. But that's a story for another day. So we're going to be doing the Twitter prompt we're presenting Twitter today, the prompt, and we're going to share it with everyone. We're going to give it away. But I do want to send that email out for 11 a.m. so that those that are not in prompt engineering yet can participate. And I'm going back and forth with our AI and finishing that email as we speak. Yeah, Brian, that was a totally great conversation. Whenever Brian schedules a call, I know it's going to be a good one. So yeah, I appreciate that. And thank you for offering the service. I look forward to your UI commentary. Okay, so then we got the prompt engineering done. Oh, so what else was I going to say? Oh, so I didn't look at the Twitter numbers yet today, which I want to. That's kind of like the coup de grace. Like that's kind of the most exciting part of my day. I probably will wait till around 2 o'clock to do it because I want to make sure I get the prompt done to go ahead and send over to RhinoBot. And when it comes to the Twitter numbers, like the ad numbers, it's so much of my wheelhouse of things I really love, like meticulous data to take a look at this, that I'm excited for it. It's like, okay, and the main event is, I did see that we had 2 new signups though. So we had 1 new signup yesterday, 2 new signups today, and I believe that's attributed to our Twitter ads. So they are working. And again, they're constantly improving. Actually, so this is a fun thing that actually Brian knows, but no one else does, because I spoke to Brian after I sent out our email yesterday. No, after I spoke to you yesterday. So do you remember when I was saying our age groups are like 50 and over and into politics and into financial planning, and that makes sense. And we had a couple of like 13 pluses, but we really, didn't give much credence to it. Well, that was totally what's it called? Cognitive dissonance. That was our fault. We came up with the conclusion before we allowed the data to go ahead and properly inform us. In fact, we rejected some data as not even important. Upon further review, the top 5 age groups that have been clicking our ads is 18 to 24 is number 1. 18 to 29 is number 2, 13 to 19 is number 3, 13 to 24 is number 4, and 50 plus is number 5. In fact, the majority of people that have been clicking our stuff are all between 13 and 24. Now, again, I said it before and I said it again, I'm not going to market to 13-year-olds. We will eventually, but I just don't think we're there yet. So we went ahead and so we had 3 campaigns yesterday. We paused one, which was the least performing, and we made 2 new ones. Those 2 new ones actually are for just 18 to 24. The cool part about that is, well, when you go back to the beginning in terms of all the data that you shared and now apply it to 18 to 24, what do you get? So if the age group that is most receptive to you is 18 to 24, and then you pile on the behaviors where the number one interest of the people engaging with us was political elections. Number 2 was local politics. Number 3 was something politics. And then the rest were all financial planning. If you take a look at, so that was that, and then there was where they're located, was all in the heartland and Northwest United States. So like Oregon, some in California, but you had a lot of Indiana, you had a lot of Kentucky, all heartland and upper west, Northwest, which is interesting. So you have this age group with those behaviors, those interests, but then when you layer on top of it, what were the keywords that got them? Well, it wasn't the political keywords. It was DeFi, dApps, Web3, and finance. Those were our 4 strongest keywords. When you start putting it all together, you can start creating a persona. If you attribute all of those things to this one persona, which captures who is the avatar, who is your person, you start actually realizing you're going to hit a home run. Because if you have the most connected generation in the history of the world, and that's not a hyperbole, they are the most connected generation in the history of the world, from 13 to 24, really 13 to 24, but we'll market 18 to 24, and their interest is all in political elections, financial future, and cryptocurrency, and they're from the heartland of America plus the Pacific Northwest, which is all your really most populated areas, right? Because you have your California, you have your Washington, you have your heartland. You start realizing that there is an underbelly of a conservative nature of this millennial generation this Gen Z generation, as much as it's being told to us that they're like these total lunatics that are just so far left, which for the most part, they look that way, right? 20% being LGBTQ. But is that representative of who they are, right? Like, so our opinion of the LGBTQ, because we're older, is, wow, you're so confused. You're this and you think you're that, like weirdos, right? Well, not weirdos, but like it's weird. But to that generation, it might be a fashion show. Like they're growing up and like, I'll try this today, right? So I think it's a little bit unfair to be so maligned for maybe that point of view. I think these individuals feel that all institutions have left them behind. So they're kind of forming their own identity. And in forming your own identity, you're kind of flexible with where you go ahead and pick and choose it from, right? Like, and especially if you're united with those around you and they're doing it, well, all right, fine, I'll go to the club with Johnny today. It's not really my taste, but whatever, like, let's go check it out. The point being, these individuals are also quite cognizant of, they're not like doo-doos. They're not walking around like, oh my God, what do we do? They are actively looking for something. And what we're finding is that the political elections is their number one concern. They want to be a united voice. And if you could go ahead and identify that the most connected generation in history is yearning to be united so that they could express their voice in unison, and they're interested in crypto because they don't necessarily trust the monetary of the country or whatnot, you start saying to yourself, well, is Rhino not perfectly made for that? Because if you went ahead and united yourselves under Rhino, the way the crypto is built, it scales to infinity and beyond. It pulls from everywhere else. So you could actually have the ability to crater Wall Street, to crater institutions by simply being a vortex that's attracting the money in. And when I say that, I think sometimes people don't understand that I mean it literally. For instance, if Rhino is going up and doubling every single day, and you have your money in McDonald's because McDonald's is a good American company, and McDonald's is $50 today and it's like $51 a year from now, well, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you own. What you care about is your profit or loss. What you own is just the vehicle. Like, at no part will you look at your neighbor who made $1 million by going into Rhino and you making $10 by staying at McDonald's and look at him as your equal. You would say, oh man, I should have done that. You won't say, I know you made $1 million, but I got to own a great American company who actually knows nothing about me, could care less about me, but I feel like I did something good. That doesn't, so what you would say is, okay, you know what? Let me sell some of this McDonald's and I'm going to put it into Rhino. And the act of doing so is you're taking money out of a Wall Street company and putting it into Rhino. In doing so, that's the vortex. That's how you're transferring the money. It's not that like there's this big machine that says, okay, guys, let's take it and put it over here. It's that every individual sees that the best interest, the best performance for their money is over here. So they sell this and buy this. Because it's a subscription-based approach, any buying is going to be residual. It's going to be consistent. It's going to be recurring. So the support for the asset price will always be there. And if you're buying next week, do you really sell today? It's almost counterintuitive. If I'm buying again in a week, why would I sell today? And that selling behavior depresses the selling behavior so low that there's never going to be enough to sell to feed the appetite of the buyers, because the buying is always automatic. It's always automated. It's all 100% has to buy. And because there's never going to be enough being sold for the buyers to buy, that's where the at market price function comes in. And what that does is all the automated buying, again, automated means it has to happen. It has to happen. All that automated buying that comes in, and okay, we have 100 Rhino to buy and there's only 10 for sale. Well, how do you get the other 90? Well, the other 90 is by Rhino yelling to everyone, and this doesn't actually happen like I'm yelling, but the at market price says, hey, sellers, listen, we need to buy it. We need to buy it. So name your price, and we're going to buy it from the lowest price, which allows the sellers to go ahead and dictate price. When you're selling and you're dictating price, you don't sell it less than market, you sell it above market, which means if this seller can sell it for here, that means this seller could sell it for here, that means this seller could sell it for here, that means this. And that's how it sputters out of control to the top end, because the belief and the whole market structure is that those that own, again, partially because we do this every day, understand that when we get there, that's the goal. That's not the end result. That's okay, we're here. Now let's stay here. This Rhino doesn't have a shareholder base that says, okay, great, when we get to like 100, I'm going to sell it that second, all of it, every bit of it. And even if it did, it would be, because we're building out numbers of accounts, all at low dollar amounts, the quantity of transactions matters. So for instance, say we build out to 100,000 accounts, right? Now let's say 20,000 accounts are like, you know what, let's all sell today. Goodbye. You know what's going to happen? The other 80,000 accounts are going to buy your 20,000 accounts, all the stuff you sold, and continue higher. So you know what you're going to feel like? You're going to look back and be like, well, that was dumb. I want to get back in. So how do you get back in? You can only get back in by now getting an account again. And by getting an account again, what are the values of the accounts? $1, $5, $10? You're going to look at yourself and say, I had like 1,000 Rhino, but now I can't even buy 1,000 Rhino. There's not even a plan that allows me to buy 1,000 Rhino. So you'll say to yourself, okay, well, I'll just go into the market. It's a free market, right? They publicly traded. Anthony always says publicly traded, blah, blah, blah. Go for it. If you're dealing with a market that doesn't have enough supply for the automated purchases and you think you're going to go step in and buy additional, do you know what the sellers will do? They dictate price. It's higher and higher and higher, which means for you to buy any large amount, especially the amount you just sold, you're going to have to pay so high for it, and that's purposely done. And where, you see, Rhino acts on the behalf of the people. I don't care about any one person. I care about the population, right? And that sounds rude. So it's not literal. but I care about everyone. If one person gets in my way, see you later. Like, not interested. But if like a million people get in my way, well, then maybe I'm doing something wrong. So let me take a second and listen, right? But if it's just one person, that's see you later, right? So the point being that our goal, our job is to make sure that that price keeps going higher. So if one person says, hey, Ant, listen, I sold 10,000. That was kind of stupid. I want to get the 10,000 back. Sorry, you can't. You have to go in and buy it because as the price continues to go higher, it benefits everyone in Rhino. But more so than that, the price going higher is what pulls the money from every other institution. That's what we need because the primary goal of Rhino has always been to go ahead and redistribute the wealth from the 1% to the population. This is the mechanism that does that. So getting back to what we're finding is our demographic, which, excuse me, I never really thought I was like an 18 to 24 demographic or a 13 to 24. Be that as it may, right? Like we're okay with it. It's almost like we need to take the persona of a Pied Piper, which we can do, right? Like, hey, this is what we want to do. And when you're dealing with a generation like that, you can be a bit hyperbolic. You could be a bit visual. You could be a bit, we want this because there's a certain level of excitement that they're receptive to. So we're going to continue looking at the data. We're going to continue kind of feeling around. If you take a look at the new lander page, you see that the countdown clock is no longer for like, if you get in, we'll match your 3 weeks. The countdown clock is to the 2024 elections. The elections are coming up. Do you want a voice or not, right? So we're playing with stuff. I believe by this time next week, we would have figured it out. We're increasing our ad spend. We're seeing what it does. I'll tell you this. There's a couple of things that I'm not happy with. I don't see our follow numbers on Twitter going up too much. It's about like 10, 15 a day, which is fine. We would like to see that 20, 30, 40, 50. I don't see our purchases going up that much, which is fine. It was at 1. Now it's at 2. It'll go. I think our lander page may need a bit more of an overhaul because we're playing with the copy, but we're not improving the look and feel of it, right? Like, could the background be purple rather than blue? Could it be, I don't know, a hologram rather than stat? Like, I don't know, right? So we're feeling around with stuff. Knowing what I know now and having to redo the bot today, I'm going to add some of this to it. I'm going to, well, actually, maybe I should look at the data first. I tell you, there's so much going on. All right, so that's that. Let's just take a look at Rhino real quick. I just want to share where we're at before we get going. So Rhino is 238.73, which is good. But what you will find, which is totally so much better, is, where are we? We crossed over. We're at 108. Where was at 110,000 in liquidity? I mean, look how strong this has been. We were, 90,000 on 4/26, so April 26th. Since then, it's been, 19 days, and we're at almost 109,000. That's the liquidity that's within Rhino. That's the true measure of what it's worth. That is what it's worth. And you could clearly see that over here, right? This number should confirm it. Oh, it's actually over 109,000 right now, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and like I said, I am going to kind of tie it to 240. That's not me saying to you, oh, go ahead and sell it all now at 240 because we're going to tie it there. I mean, if any one of you believe that you're such a good trader that you could sell 240 and buy it back lower, God bless. Like, I'm not telling you not to. Me saying we're tying it to 240 is me saying we don't want it to get so volatile that it starts screaming higher and people then feel compelled. It's not a logical decision, it's an emotional decision. Any of us that have ever traded know this. When you have something that just goes up, you feel uncomfortable. Like, this is something, let me just get out and I'm uncomfortable with how high this is going. I don't want that. Despite people's, human characteristics, I don't want to go ahead and play into them. So a lot of people are far more comfortable if they own something at 2 and it goes to 220 and trades, and then it goes to 240 and trades, because now what do they say? All right, got to 240. It's been there for like a month. I feel good. 240 is a good price. If it went from 2 to 240 in a day, you would say, I don't feel comfortable here. So we have to make sure that everyone always feels comfortable. And in doing so, it's not like, okay, well, we're tying it to 240. Where's the money go? It just goes into the liquidity pool. So I would say this time next week, we'll be at 240 and the liquidity pool will be from 109 to like 115, right? So it's always building, building, building. I think I see some stuff. Maybe it's possible the ads on the other platforms, but yeah, so when you're talking about the 18 to 24 demographic, that's TikTok. That's TikTok and Snapchat. I'm not like a TikTok snap. I'm not cool anymore. I think the last time I was cool, I don't know, a long time ago. That being said, I do think there's a path where we could create a persona. And what I mean by that is if you remember Anonymous, those guys that would run around with that white mask and they would put out all these cryptic videos, I think we have a path for something like that, where we can have a rhino with like a rhino cryptic mask or whatnot with kind of like, do you remember Bane from Batman? I forgot how it goes. What are the game today? Something with a voice and a persona and like a daily posting, like every day at 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. This video comes out and everyone waits for it. What is he going to say today? And of course, that to work, we can't talk about it here, right? It's like the first rule of Fight Club. You can't talk about Fight Club. If we do that, you and I would sit here and have this conversation, and then we would delete the video because we couldn't have a record of it. I think I would probably need a new TikTok because TikTok says right. I don't know. But it is in the thought process. I am actively thinking about doing something like that because I do think that's what we need. And anything we need, I'm going to do. So I always find that Saturdays are our longest calls because I really do innately feel like when I don't see you Sunday, I miss you. So let me run. It's been 27 minutes. Travis is somewhere counting down the time. I know it. And for those that don't know Travis, every time I talk to him on the phone, he keeps me longer than a half hour, and everyone knows the blocks are a half hour. But when Travis books a half hour, I always leave the next half hour open because when we get to like 40 minutes, he goes, "All right, you little a-hole, you keep me longer every morning, so I'm gonna keep you longer." And I am the oldest of six boys in an Italian family, so words like a-hole are terms of endearment. Like you could never say something that would get through this rhino skin. Skeptical of TikTok. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be omnipresent. We're going to have to do Snap, TikTok, maybe some Facebook. I really don't feel like doing Facebook. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Insta. Frida's like, bye. All right, fine. Frida, geez. All right. Love everyone. I'll see you at 3 o'clock. If you're on prompt engineering, if you're not, you should be. That email's going out right after this. And otherwise, I'll see you Monday. Bye.